Well, summer was a long time coming for much of Australia, but it arrived with the new year and with a vengeance. South Australia recorded its hottest start to January in more than a century, and soaring temperatures saw 100 fires break out across Victoria. A cool change should bring an end to the hot spell, but the fires might be a taste of what lies ahead, because 2 years of wet weather has produced a thick band of grass that straddles the continent. Gary Morgan is Chief Executive of the Bushfire Cooperative Research Centre in Melbourne, and I spoke to him late today. Gary Morgan, welcome.
Good evening, Chris.
Well, 2 very wet years means there's a lot of grass to burn.
There certainly is, and right across Australia from coast to coast there's a high fuel load. And many Australians would be excused from thinking there wouldn't be a bad fire season, but the science has shown us that that's quite the contrary. There is a lot of fuel and there will be lots of fires.
And how quickly can grass become a hazard?
Well, now that we've gone out of the drought season and those record-breaking rains that occurred last year have set the scene for the grass growth. With that growth comes a higher potential on the time when the grass cures. What that has been seen to be realised around Alice Springs right now. We've just seen some fires twice the size of Tasmanian.
And those grass fires are very fast too, aren't they? So the grass cures quickly, and once they start, they move very quickly.
The fires through grasslands run a lot faster than they do through forest. The science has shown us that over the past, and historically we have seen very large fires occur through grass on very short cycles when we have those strong windy days where the temperatures are high and the relative humidities are low, particularly like what we've just seen recently with the winds coming out of the centre of Australia. Then those grass fires can burn over large areas quite rapidly, faster than what you can run on foot, certainly, and sometimes faster than what people can drive in their cars.
And closer to populated areas.
Well, this is the issue. We've now got the population in Australia where many people are moving into the rural environment, and we've got a lot of people right up against either high grassland area or forest area. And where we've got a lot of grass around, then there's a good chance those fires are going to run into the urban environment.
One of the fascinating things about fire in Australia is that the season migrates from north to south. So where are we in the cycle at the moment, and where are the areas of greatest risk?
Well, at the moment we have seen the tropics come in, and we've seen the cyclones hit the northern part of Australia, and that's got high humidity. But as you come down to the centre of Australia, around Alice Springs, that's very dry, there's a lot of fires. And also from Western Australia, South Australia, Victoria, they're experiencing fires right at the moment. So the fire risk, which is above normal in the grasslands across that part of Australia, is at a high potential to burn for many months yet. So people do have to be very vigilant right through that. And that's where the agencies are giving out the messages to people. And that's probably one of the areas which is really hardest for, from a research perspective. We know from the Victorian Bushfires Royal Commission that many people didn't understand what the messages which were given out quite clearly. They didn't respond adequately to the way that they should.
But when you look at the Royal Commission into those bushfires, it mirrored in a lot of ways the Royal Commission that we saw in 1939, and Australia has been fire-prone from well before European settlement. Why is it that fire still comes as a surprise to so many Australians?
That's a good question. It's an area where we do know that people aren't reacting the way that they should, and we do know that messages are being received. However, that's one of the vexed questions. How do we go about that? And that's one of the areas which we're doing research into. Following up from the Perth fires just recently, we've sent researchers out in the field. The Perth Hills fire and post-Black Saturday. So we're gathering data and trying to work it out. Just like in the medical profession and in the road accident areas. The messages go out, but people still do not act in the way which people could look after their own lives.
So, Gary Morgan, what is the message for those people who are in fire-prone areas, which is a large swathe of Australia?
Prepare now. It's almost too late in many places. And not preparing on days when the temperature's really high, you're likely to start a fire. But being prepared, having your fire plan in readiness, knowing what to do, and then being aware of the conditions and listening to the likes of ABC radio, local radio, to find out where fires are occurring, particularly if they're in your area, and knowing which way they're likely to go. The agencies are giving out that message. It's now up to the community to also listen to those messages and respond accordingly.
Well, Gary Morgan, the message is being sent. Let's hope it's being received, and thank you.
You're welcome, Chris.